Okay, I'm going to give it a couple minutes for people to join. Getting some people trickling in, just going to give it a few minutes for people to join. To start, the reason why I want to start this pre-market is to go through my morning note and just outline it, kind of what we're looking for and a bit of the game plan. So I'll start that in a couple minutes once we get people in, so just hang tight. All right, I think we have enough people. Yo, what's up? Good morning. I hate YouTube stream for one reason, and well, there's a couple reasons, but one of them is I can't see who's in here. So, say good morning, say hello. But yeah, on Discord, we can see everybody who's in. So I just do this when I do some promos so I can get some people on X in here. Yo. Okay, so I want to start this pre-market so I can go through the morning note. Let me pull it up on X because I have it there. I think as I pull this up, I mean, the one big thing I'm focused on is the golden rule that we haven't talked about in a while, but that is still quite important. So let me share this screen here. Okay, so I don't know if you guys had time to read the morning note. I think the whole concept, and I'll go through charts in a second, is that yes, yesterday was very constructive, but we're not quite there yet. And like it's kind of funny, if you've been trading for a little bit, there's always this question, are we so back or not? And then the market just kind of like grinds up as people get faked out on like, are we back? Are we not back? But for the sake of conversation of are we back? Yes, it looks like we're on our way. But don't count your chickens before they hatch. Because if you look, let me pull up SPY. I'll just kind of go in between. If you look at this SPY chart, right? Like, I mean, if you just looked at this and this was a stock, would you long this? Like, would you just automatically bid this and full port it? I personally wouldn't. I mean, you have this rising wedge that's breaking down, right? You have picked up volume on the sell, although albeit some picked up volume yesterday. But most notably for me, we're still trading below the EMAs, right? The 8 and the 21. And then beyond that, we're also trading below the 20 SMA, right? So depending, whatever floats your boat in terms of indicators you use, but SPY's still technically not in fully bullish territory. But remember, if you guys have been in the pod for a little bit and you know what has led me to be more bullish over the last month, part of the thesis was built on IWM and RSP, right? Like you basically have this small mid cap breakout. All stocks are flying except for mega caps. And that has been the headwind for stocks. So yes, SPY looks bad, but when you look at IWM, this is a stock I would long. I would long the shit out of this stock, right? It looks really good. RSP as well. And then, look at the volume here, right? So so look at the volume here, right? That volume is real. Perfect bounce off the 8 EMA after reclaiming it. This is bullish, right? And if you look at RSP, where are we at on RSP? RSP, similar story, not as much volume. RSP is kind of a funny one, equal weighted S&P, but this is something I would long. SPY, I wouldn't long this if it was a stock, right? It doesn't mean I'm not bullish or whatever. It just means I wouldn't long this if it's a stock. You have this big failure here of this trend line, failure below 8 EMAs. But again, yesterday was quite constructive. It was good, but just chill, right? We still have to figure it out. If we look at QQQ, I don't spend much time on QQQ. I want to make sure I don't miss the market open. Let's get rid of this, right? So if you want to say, okay, what's going on with QQQ, you can kind of see that same trend line. You can chart it from here. You can actually probably chart it from the April low here, right? So you can kind of say, no, that won't work, right? So you can kind of say that, but let's see where this lines up to, because you can see this kind of vertical. Yeah, so it's this gap here. All right, so you can see that this gap up here on April 23rd, the day before, we're kind of setting that as a trend line, and you can see it follows the same distribution pattern where we have this test, hold, test, hold, test, hold, test, hold, boom, breakdown. So that would be the reason why you don't just full port everything right now, and you proceed with at least some caution here, because again, we're not out of the woods. Okay, so that's one. I know we're running out of time before the market open, but let me get through some of this. Okay, the other thing is the yield, the Japan's yield. That is also, we're not out of the clear there yet. I'm trying to pull up the chart. Actually, I'm not going to pull up the chart because we're running out of time. But basically, this is still a key risk. This is the headwind to crypto. This is kind of like the canary in the coal mine. So just keep an eye on what's going on in Japan, because the yen carry trade is what helps boost a lot of risk assets across the world. And I wrote in my morning note earlier this week on what it is, why it matters, how it works, etc. Okay. Crypto, Bitcoin, just Ethereum needs 3,100 and Bitcoin needs 91,000 to feel better. All right. For today's trading, I'll skip this because we have it on my chart. Basically, all I want to see today, I might take some trades here and there, but like what I really want to see today, let's go back here, is 6,900 is kind of my golden rule. If you guys don't know, the golden rule basically just says there are important levels from a supply and demand perspective, and you're not allowed to just leapfrog over them and not retest those levels, right? That's why gap fills exist and all that good stuff, right? So anyway, all that to say, I would love to find a long. I would love to find a long on a retest down here. A retest and hold down here would set up a pretty magnificent long. Another good long here is, see where we're kind of pausing pre-market. Let me actually pull up my supply and demand indicator. Let's just show all levels, see what we got. Yeah, so we could see, and this one's interesting too. We can see that pre-market low there holding up. All right, but I don't like using US 500, so I'm going to switch to SPX. Okay, so let's see what we get. Market's about to open. My key focus today is I put some triggers on some stocks. I don't really want to like over leverage right now and just kind of buy this, but I have some alerts that I'll keep you guys aware of when I trade them. Where are we? Okay, here we are. All right, so 20 is a big level. Let's see what we do if we hold that. Really quick, while I do that, I need to check my Meta Lotto. Okay, so 69.20 is going to provide, again, ideally we fade down here, we drop below here. So we got to watch that. We can kind of keep our eye on VIX. I'm going to get rid of GME here. So extreme tick there, really big tick up at 1,000, pretty significant. We want to see how the day comes through. So I just got triggered, jump around between my triggers and stocks and whatever. But I was just triggered. I got stopped out and asked a little bit ago, a couple days ago. The bull flow that got me interested is still sitting in open interest. So this one's a pretty interesting stock. I'm going to reignite my alert there. And then with Nat Gas, you have WMB. This one is like one of those boring stocks that can make a pretty significant move with options because the implied or the expectation is so low. Okay, to SPX. So what am I looking for? Like again, let's see what we get at 32. I'm not just auto bidding this open here. I want to see what we get. I'm glad I trimmed some Netflix, but maybe I didn't trim enough. Oh wow, UNH. UNH looks really good. We have that trade from yesterday. If you're in the Discord, we added some lotto size positions of the what do I have? Of the 355 calls. So far they're doing good. I'm not sure I'm gonna trim yet. I kind of want to max this out, especially given the size, but it looks good. DJT ripping. Let's see if we can get some movement there. Yeah, everything looks really good. So I'm gonna chill, right? Like again, I want to wait. I want to wait for us to come down a little bit, get our golden. Oh, right screen. Sorry. I want to see us retest a little bit. So let's see where we can get. Like, right, if you took this long above 920, it's not bad. Where are my EMAs? The other thing too is on these big gap up days, what you will notice most of the time is that you see the 8 EMA down here. Usually before we could make some kind of crazy move to 7K or whatever, SPX wants the 8 EMA to catch up. That's just kind of how it typically works. So we'll kind of chill. You won't get a lot of SPX trades from me quite yet. I may short 54, but I really don't. I want to protect my mental capital and not short, too quickly or aggressively. I don't want to get caught up, being short. Oh, I just got filled on Meta at 650. Holy shit. What a great trade. All right, I need to post this. Wow. I hope you guys in the Discord got that with me. What an incredible trade. All right, what's that calculation? So it takes me so long to put in these alerts. So if you guys are ever like, why is the price different than what KASM put it at? All right, that's 342%. Wow, incredible, 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 incredible. And now DJT, can you please hold your rip? SMR, hold your rip. Man, this is going to be a pretty big day for my port. Here's the port right now. We got pretty good. I mean, like, I've been pretty, wow, NVTS, what a great ad. I've been pretty vocal about being kind of like unapologetically bullish. And I position my portfolio as what I call the get rich or die trying portfolio as a result. So let me see UNH. I want to get filled on this. I think I want to close this out. 210. Let me see the levels before I just take yeah, I'm gonna take this at 2. Let's see if I can get filled at 230. All right, I'm out at 246 on UNH. Incredible trade again. What did I just say? I got filled at 2.46. Sorry, guys. Hard to stream when I'm closing stuff out, but just bear with me for a second. 6 from 0.62. 2.46 divided by 0.62. 6.2. That's that's a 300% return. All right. That was fun. That was cool. Now let's see what's going on here. Lucid. Okay. All right, so we're gonna wait for SPX a little bit to dwindle down. I want to take you guys through, and if you guys actually, if you want to focus on anything, let me know. Wanker, punk, mass MicroStrategy to zero. Yeah, honestly, probably, but let's actually check it out. Okay, so send your chart request in here. I'm gonna try and keep my eye on SPX as best as possible. Um, So let's look at MicroStrategy. This one, like, I bought BMNR yesterday. I hate I hate these treasury companies because, like, just why not just buy? You have ETFs and levered ETFs, so why do you need the treasury company? But I bought BMNR just because I thought it's not. I don't know. I think I was being a little greedy. I mentioned it in the Discord. Like, I should just buy Ethereum leverage, but I wanted some like outsized returns if the treasury company, like if BMNR catches a bid with this kind of bullshit Mr. Beast partnership and whatever else. Okay. Um, MicroStrategy, this one's like, and so rightfully so, this one's going to be a little harder to chart. Like for me, if we want to take out the weekly and just say where are we at, like this looks bad, right? Like, yes, MicroStrategy to zero, especially if it can't recover the 8 EMA here on the weekly, and you can kind of see where all this supply sits, where people keep selling into. So basically, you need to recover 185 for MicroStrategy to catch a bid. So yeah, until that, MicroStrategy is going to zero, right? Um, let's take a look at Lucid. This one, I posted about the other day, 2 days ago, right before it kind of went parabolic, and I just want to talk through it a little bit. This one should run like pretty insanely, but let's kind of talk through it a little bit. So, you have these technical patterns, right? Like a falling wedge and a rising wedge, and you can kind of see like you have this trend line down, and then you have this trend line down. Um, And so as you have these like kind of formations take place, and then you combine it with this hammer at the bottom, it's usually a sign, especially with yesterday's breakout, it's usually a sign that the stock has bottomed and it can get ready to make a pretty significant run. So we're seeing that so. Oh, I totally forgot. We're doing oh my God, sorry guys. I don't know who's here from like just for the promotion, but I totally forgot we're running that. So while we wait for SPX to kind of come back down, let's run this. All right. So again, I'm gonna give out 1 free month of AlphaPod. So if you're a current member, I give you a $65 credit. I don't care what pricing you're on. I'll just, yeah, you'll get your $65 credit. And then I want to give out 5 free months of our new indicators, which so far the feedback has been so incredible, and I'm glad it's working out well. All right, so let's go through this, right? Everybody, I have all your entries here. Let's shuffle it a couple times. I don't know what that does. So this first one, we're gonna announce the winner for the free month. So you can see all your entries are there. A nice ad for Universal Studios. Okay, let's see who wins the free month of AlphaPod for the full membership, and then we'll go through the indicators. this guy, the reason I'm laughing is his X profile is hilarious. All right, so let me put this down in my spreadsheet so I don't forget. All right, all right, now let's go through the indicators. So if you're already a current AlphaPod member, this one won't really apply to you, but let's go through it for people who are not paying members. So let's go through one. Nikki Sins. I hope I'm not missing good trades by doing this. All right, we got the bare yellow for indicators. So right, the rest of these are indicators. Again, if you haven't used them yet, I'm not just hyping it up because I built it. Earnestly, the feedback has been very, very constructive, and I think you'll like it. I think you'll like it a lot. All right, Mahesh for indicator. I don't know all your guys' X names to your Discord names, so I'm not sure if you guys are paying members already, but anyway, I'll announce it. Quickly, while we finish that up, I'm just taking a quick look at SPX. See it's fading right here at 69.32 or like holding. But VIX has lost its support here at 1579. 1579 is key. So, and then let's take a quick look at premiums, right? Let's take a quick look at premiums and see what we're getting, right? So you have this big GEX position build out here at 69.70 that is quite bullish. Premiums are a little mixed on SpineNet, but it looks like we want higher. But again, I really want to see a back test. Really want to see a back test. Okay. Did Nikki Sins just win again? Nikki Sins just won again. So I'm going to remove them. Oh, dude, I'm stoked. I don't know if he's on here, but AP Markets Intel. I'm stoked you got something. I wish you got the free full membership. You've been trying for a few months now, but we'll get you soon. Not sure. Are you on the stream? If you're on the stream, let me know. No, menu valve. Not yet. Not yet. Um, so please, I was giving the free chat a hard time yesterday. You read my morning note. Like I'm not just saying it because I wrote it, but from the people who do read it, and you can see if you're in the Discord, the plan that's written out is pretty good. I mean, okay, here we go, right? Like the plan again said, I'm not really interested until we get a retest of this zone here, and you can see where remember when we started the stream, I talked about SPX is not going to get away from you until the 8 EMA catches up, and see where it's sitting right now. Again, if you read the morning note, you know this is kind of my key area of interest to hold for a bounce, and to enter long, right? And then look at VIX picking up right here. So remember we were just talking about VIX losing the support. Well, now look at VIX now. Now look at VIX now. Anyway, you know what I mean. VIX is now shooting up, reclaiming its support and holding. So what you want to see going forward for a long to set up is you want to see VIX come down and lose support, and likely that will happen right around this area. Right around this area. And maybe it doesn't, maybe we missed the trade, but whatever. Like that's what we want to see. Okay. And just so I don't miss anything while we're streaming. And then, if you guys don't know how to draw supply and demand, it's I'm happy to give away my trade secrets. It's really not that complicated. And before I ramble too much, I just want to see, yeah, Oust is moving. Joby, great ad. Yes. I mean, terrible entry yesterday, but the chart looked really good. And there you go. I just got an alert for it. Okay. Supply and demand, it's very simple, guys. You see these bars here, you see where they found resistance, that's a level, right? And then another secret that your other gurus don't want you to know for charting is for SPX, the levels are pretty consistent every 100 points. It's not always true, but mostly. Okay. All right, let's finish this. I have my alert on. Rick09, did you already win an indicator? Nope. Okay, Rick09. All right. 2, 4. Oh, that's it. All right. So for our winners, let me post in chat. We have Alterator for full AP premium. Full AP premium. And then for our indicators, we have okay. So I'll share that later. Let's kind of get back to trading. Let me check. Okay. Yeah, this looks really good. All right, so we're setting up, kind of get ready to place a trade pretty soon. For this, I don't care as much about premiums early in the day. Like right now, I don't really care too much about it. All right, so we could get a bounce here. If you're eager to long, not a bad long here, right? Right there. But look at premiums. I wouldn't be eager to long this. And then yeah, overall. So we're getting our retest, like just to make sure I emphasize the importance of the morning note, right? Is that basically I told you guys in the plan, don't do anything until we get this back test, right? And so now we're getting the back test, and now we can start getting um, ready to load up some longs to try and pick up this bounce play. And then, if you look at premiums right now, for me, the way I pick premiums is I usually like, as close to the money as possible, but not too close to the money because I want some outsized returns, right? Like I usually trade. Okay, let me stop talking. Sorry, hold on one second. Let's load up a good trade. So right now, the 35 calls are pretty good, especially because I think we can make up a move to 69.50. They're at 460 right now. If we touch 68.94, I'm bidding big size there. I'm gonna load it up in Discord too. And I might change the strike just so don't just this is really good, really good. And then watch. VIX is right here coming into resistance, right as SPX is coming into support. This is exactly what you want to see. This is exactly what you want to see. Okay. So we want to see this retest. Like this retrace is exactly by the way, I might miss it because 6,900 could bounce pretty hard. And I don't want the 35 Cs anymore. I'm now looking at the 30 Cs. All right, we're getting that a little bounce at 6,900. In terms of the best risk return for me is to wait for 68.94. That is for me, and the reason why is because the 8 EMA is lining up perfectly with this level. Okay? So for me personally, that just lines up a good trade. Like that's a good trade for me. Good risk return. We have a key level, right? So 6,900 should hold up, but our flip zone, just so you guys know, like based on the indicator, I know it's kind of noisy. You have your flip zone down here at 68.74. So, 6,900 isn't a guaranteed bounce. And honestly, 68.94 isn't a guaranteed bounce. If we lose 68.94, we're going to see 68.75, and that can provide your next bounce. Okay. So, just because it's a good setup doesn't mean it's guaranteed. But looking at premiums, like this is getting, people are just taking profits, right? Like we're not adding anything. All I did was take profits too, right? We had some fucking insane profits there on Meta and UNH. That was pretty incredible. I was just checking chat really quick. If you guys have questions in the stream, let me know. But we should be able to load up a trade pretty soon here. So if you're itching to trade, 6,900 can bounce, but I saw something here that would give me a little bit of confidence in that. I would take, but like maybe again, I'm okay losing the trade, right? Like I'm okay making no money, but you probably see something like this. But look, we're actually, and maybe I'll kind of check myself and my thinking because maybe I'm wrong. And the reason I say maybe I'm wrong is you have VIX right here at right at resistance. So like I think technical analysis with like trend lines and indicators on VIX is pretty brain dead. But what isn't is supply and demand, and you can kind of see that playing out perfectly. Supply and demand, literally, if there's one thing you need to learn in trading, only one thing. If you just need one thing, supply and demand. That is it. If you can master that, okay. Hold on. So check out these put premiums. See how that faded, and we knew that not 6,900 can bounce, but I didn't buy. My level right there. You can see from our indicator. Because again, I think it's better risk reward to wait for 94. But you could see puts are being sold down here, right? So you could see puts are being sold. We could see GEX is still pretty high. That updates every 10 minutes, so we don't know what's changed. And calls are starting to rise on both Market Tide and SPY Net. I missed the 6,900 bounce because I wanted a little bit lower. But you could see VIX is fading here. I'm still not fully convinced yet that we're going to push through here. So I forget if I drew it out, but basically you might see something like this. Again, I want to wait for the 8 EMA to catch up before I start taking anything. But there's no reason to be bearish here, right? Like, yes, you could have bought puts here, and I think some of you probably did, but it doesn't necessarily make the most sense from a risk reward perspective. So for me, this is what I want to see play out. I would love, now that VIX compressed a little bit, I would love to see kind of this blue line play out, come down here, and then VIX kind of retest up here. That would look good to me, especially because we have this puts coming down. Like we're starting to see, profit takers are done. We're starting to see some bids come in. Okay, missing this trade if I miss it. But right now we're getting that. Maybe you can see it better on the 5-minute kind of, or three. Oops. Maybe you can see it on the 3-minute or 2-minute here. But basically, what I drew out earlier was, we bounce up here, which we got, and then we come back to test down here. So let's see if we get that. And if we get that, personally, I'm going to load up on calls with decent size. I don't know if we'll get it, right? And then let me get out of this stupid 2-minute chart. Okay, so let's see if we can get that. Again, premiums. Oh, okay, you can see how quickly this reversed. Calls are coming down again. I feel a little bit better that we'll get our. And remember, just because it's the best entry for me, it doesn't mean that it's guaranteed trade, right? Like, if people see me put, hey, I'm doing a large size trade, I have confidence. Well, if I made 100% on every high conviction trade I had, I would be a billionaire, right? Like, just trades fail sometimes, right? It happens. So anyway, all that to say, if we get this, it's a high conviction setup. Long it, I'm gonna go hard on it. But what I do know too at the same time is that there is risk that we get this magnet down here. You can't read it because I have too many lines on my chart, but this is the GEX flip zone where GEX flips from positive to negative to positive. Anyway, this is the flip zone. And so this can be a magnet here, which would provide a better bounce if we drop that low. So a lot of words to say. I'm just chilling right now. Want to get this hit, and you could see like I didn't miss anything, right? Like in terms of patience, I'm oftentimes impatient too, but in terms of patience, I had very clear line of sight. I knew what I wanted to see, and I didn't have any ounce of FOMO saying, well, like what if it goes up without me? Okay, so be it. I don't make money, but I don't lose money. What I want is this 8 EMA 68.94 fake breakdown below 6,900. However, guys, remember, identifying the key risk that this 75 is a magnet, right? It can drop down, it can fade lower. So do you guys, instead of me rambling, I hope maybe it's helpful and you want to hear me ramble, but absent that, post any questions you have in the chat. I'd love to talk through stuff with you guys if you have questions. All right, I'm going to forget about UNH because I sold it. I don't care about it anymore. No FOMO there. And then I wanted to look at PFE. Okay, look at PFE. I've been kind of beating the drum, pounding the pavement that PFE can make a pretty outsized move. Again, just like SPX. Yeah, I have a lot of conviction, but who knows what's going to exactly happen. But my conviction is pretty high. You saw it happen with Merck, right? You saw this kind of crazy move. You saw it happen with Guild, right? You saw this kind of, and yesterday I actually loaded up to buy, but I didn't buy, so whatever. You can see this crazy move, and we got a lot of flow there, right? I think GSK too, right? GSK, I mean, it's faded, but you have this move. The only one that struggled, and maybe it's just completely oh, hold on. All right, here we go, SPX. You guys see what patience does? Now, again, I'm going to take this trade. I'm going to take it. And okay, remember exactly what I said. I'm boasting a little bit, but just to reiterate points that I'm trying to teach. You can see I called VIX, right? It was right at support. It bounced. I said, this is great. And it started retreating as we came back up to 69.10. I said, okay, that's actually good because we can get VIX compressed. It has room to go up and retest support while it comes down to the 68.94 level. And that is my perfect buy spot for my first attempt to go long, right? And so now VIX is coming back up. We didn't miss the move. I'm looking at the 69.30 calls. They're around $4 right now, making sure I have everything loaded up in Discord. All right, let's get it soon. Give me a good trigger. Let's zoom really quick. Yeah, so this is a little risky, right? Obviously, everything's a little risky, but this is a good spot to buy calls. In my trade plan, I talked about 6,900, but you'll always notice at every 100 level on SPX, there's a little gotcha level where it's like this kind of fake breakdown level. And the gotcha level for 6,900 is 68.94. That is the, oops, just kidding, we're not actually going to break down level. We're going to bounce from here and screw everybody who got caught short on this breakdown. But again, I'm going to take this. Doesn't mean it's guaranteed. Doesn't mean, anything, but it's a good setup for me. 69.30 calls are about $4 right now. So I want to see what we get. God, SMR is going to drive me mad. Just break through already. I mean, good thing I'm so heavy in profits. Otherwise, I would have got shaken out like 10 times to Tuesday. Okay, let's look at premium. 6,900 is holding. Maybe the gotcha level won't hit, but let's see if VIX can come down a little bit. I'm going to move this into the 2-minute just so we can kind of see it a little bit more closely. Yeah, puts are now coming down, right? You see puts coming down. So maybe that was it. But you can see the resistance at 69.10. So if you're like, okay, you know what? I want to long this because I think that's it. You have two options. You long this because it looks like it's holding. Or you wait for a reclaim of 69.10, right? All right, 68.94. It's coming. Load them up. I'm loading up the 69.30 calls. They're around $4 right now. I'm gonna wait for a touch. If I miss it, I miss it. So why? You can see VIX is now pushing through resistance. That might be it. Let's see though. Let's see. Again, I'm not gonna, be patient this whole time and then become impatient at the last moment. I have confidence in my levels. I have confidence in my strategy. I just need to wait for it to play out. But the thing is, it's like 3 points. It won't make that big of a difference. All right, come on, give it to me. The risk here, right? Just calling it out. VIX is above resistance, and 75 is a magnet on SPX. Okay, that's the risk. Don't say I didn't warn you. If we reclaim 6,900, I may just say F it and buy, but I think we're going to test the 8 EMA here. I mean, it's kind of perfect, right? This level I've been talking about is now perfectly lining up with 68.94. So it's kind of this perfect scenario situation here. Kingslayer. Hold on. I'll answer your question. Sorry, I'm not checking chat right now as I'm trying to focus on this trade, but I'll answer your question soon. We could probably, if it does dip to test this, we could probably get the contracts for 3.5. They're around $4 right now. So it's, in the grand scheme of things, it's not a huge difference, honestly, but just from being a patient trader, God damn, SMR is going to drive me mad. Okay, come on. Give me the test. Give it to me. Contracts are 3.5 now. Sorry, I'm going to load up a different contract. Now that they've lost some premium in the 6920s. Because if I'm wrong, it won't be as painful. 6920s are 580 right now. We're getting pretty close to my test. I think I can get them for 550. Come on, give me the test. Okay, I'm in at 560. Went a little bit early, but all right, so there's your test. Again, I went a little smidge early, but this should hold. If it doesn't hold, right, then then we'll have to get stopped out. But this should hold. This should pump. So the risk here is VIX is a little high. Premiums don't look great. And we have a magnet down at 75. That said, I'm pretty confident with my levels and my strategy. Doesn't mean it's going to work perfectly, but this is kind of like your perfect setup. And for bulls, now, if you're a bear, you really want to see this fail. If you're a bull, you're also just hoping, please hold here, please hold here, please hold here, because this is kind of like the bullish setup of the day. Is we get this retest. We needed it, right? I mentioned it earlier in the stream. We can't just leapfrog over 6,900. It needs to be heavily tested before we can move higher. You cannot just kind of like push beyond it. GEV, BE kind of nuking here. IWM strong. Bitcoin lost all its gains. Yeah, kind of a weird tape. So in terms of like risk management, there's a few ways to play it, right? I didn't size this one to 0. If I did, I would be comfortable with, waiting for 75 to be tested. Otherwise, if we lose here is pretty much where I'd stop out. And the hardest thing about SPX, the reason why most people don't take and respect their stop loss is because you're like, well, oh, it moved down here. It could quickly come back up. It moved down here. It could quickly come back up, right? And you kind of like follow it all the way to 0. So that's why, if you find yourself unable to like respect your stop loss the way you need to, just set a hard stop loss. I hate hard stop losses because you get stuck in these liquidity sweeps. I think I had that happen to me a couple days ago, and it really, really, really sucks. Really, really, really sucks. All right, so I can watch the tape from YouTube. All right, so Kingslayer, yesterday those 1600 Cs went from 2 to 1600 piece. Do you ever look for plays like that? Yeah, I don't know if you're still in the chat, but yeah, I mean, we do a decent amount of lottos. Um, but lottos are tricky, right? Like when they hit, and when they don't, they go to zero. And so, I usually play a couple lottos a day, and I usually look for 2 to 3x. Like my strategy is typically take half off at 100% if seen, right? So you can kind of get a free gamble. And then, look for 2 to 10x returns on lottos. Otherwise, your win rate should not be over 50% on lottos. Like it's not going to be. And so you really need 2 to 5 to 6x on your winners to make it worthwhile. Okay, SPX is it's holding up okay, but this level is actually I'm not gonna say it, it is not struggling. It's holding up okay, but you can see from premiums like it's not perfect yet. But anyway, again, and VIX is rising too. So in terms of like, is it perfect? No, right? If it were perfect, VIX would come down here. And if it were perfect, we'd not see puts rising like this. We'd start seeing calls rise, right? So is it good enough? Absolutely. Especially, I mean, it's kind of perfect from a price action perspective. Like this is a good dip buy. But this really needs to hold. Really, really needs to hold here. And if it fails, it fails and cut it, call it a loss. This should hold. And I wish we got some premium improvement here. You can see, and then they built Gex lower at 70, which again, I mentioned, if we lose, seeing 75. And then 75 should be your next big bounce spot. Oh, cool. I'm glad you were here for that, Kingslayer. I'm glad you heard the answer. If anybody else has questions, let me know. But anyway, I used to do these streams a lot, and then I stopped. I like doing it because it's pretty educational. I think at least that's like the tilt I put on it is basically I'm just blabbering my whole thought process and my strategy. And so hopefully, even if this trade does fail, hopefully it was helpful to hear how I think through it from, price action perspective, from a risk management perspective. Part of being good at trading is preparation. And so that's why, I write the morning plan mostly for myself, not mostly for you guys, because it helps me really like think through and actually force myself to think through what do I want to see. Sometimes, it doesn't work out perfectly, but what I mentioned in the morning note is I want to see a retest of this zone here. And so, we're getting that retest here. So far it's holding, but, given where premiums are at, maybe we're seeing something with puts, but yeah, given where premiums are at, given where VIX, okay, actually I take that back. VIX is starting to contract. Let's see if it can lose this support. And basically that would set us up for a pretty good big size trade here. All right, so it's holding up okay, but it really, obviously, without a doubt, not out of the woods yet. Just in case I get distracted on stream, I'm going to put alert here, an alert here. So, okay, let's talk about. Okay, awesome. Misfit Steve. I think that's you, Steve, right? I'm glad it's helpful. And if you guys, again, I really want to encourage you guys to ask questions. Okay, so, we found our entry. What about take profit? And you can see I have these like color color-coded levels. These are kind of the big, juicy, meaty levels. And then the magenta ones are from my indicator. 69.10 is a big level. So, right, if we get a push up here, the contract should move about 50% or so. So scale out some there, right? And then if we could push higher, we might find resistance at right here, and then definitely at 20, right? So you can scale fully out at 20, or leave some runners. But, we might break down here. Let's see. Don't count our chickens before they hatch. So like even this fails, it's a good trade and setup when you add at a spot that's getting heavily defended, right? Like again, you can't get them all, but adding at a spot that's heavily defended should make you feel good. Oh, look at this GME. I kind of even want to add more. How's Netflix trash doing? So our GME lottos are up 250% right now. All right, you know what? I'm gonna take my profits on Netflix. So I'm out of Netflix, and I'm gonna add. I might be chasing. I might get burned. Like honestly, not the best buy. So if you're following, don't. I mean, I alerted GME yesterday and pre-market. I'm gonna add a little bit more here. And yeah, I'm chasing a little bit, but I think things can get silly. All right, so let me. Everyone took full profit on FX. Everyone added more GME. How many shares do I have now? I had 170 shares. All right. All right. So SPX is looking good. GME looking good. I can't believe. I mean, like, what an incredible day to start with UNH. PFE is running. I mean, everything's SMR. I'm just take this off my fucking view because I hate it. So PFE, I kind of pounded the pavement nonstop. Okay, look at us. Look at us banking on SPX. I'm gonna start getting ready to trim soon. Like trimming, yeah, I want to see 69.10. I know it's like, you see profit, like, oh, I got to take profit. No. And the reason why, right? Like, if you take 10% profit on all your trades, but you have a 50% stop loss, you're going to lose because even if you win 60, 70% of the time, your losses are going to outweigh your wins, right? So, it's like, oh, well, it could go down. That's why it's like, what's your target? What's your target? And so for me, we talked about 69.10. I thought we would get a little push up, but nope, didn't get it. So we'll have to chill a little bit more. All right, let me check Discord. Did you guys? All right, and guys, please ask questions here, especially if you're not on the Discord and you just want to kind of pick my brain on stuff. So, people were asking me about PFE either on X, and some of my friends who are in the Discord like, "Hey, you still in it?" Yeah, and again, I'll talk about this name, and I'll talk about obviously, I'll talk about even if I think something's gonna work, doesn't mean it will. Like Lou. So okay, actually, really quick, Lou on the weekly looked really, really good, and so it really got me interested in buying this. But then when I looked at the daily, I identified a bear flag, and I'm like, you know what, sector's fine. I can size up on it, and I shouldn't have sized up, but like once I saw this kind of bear flag, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna take my stop loss and not worry about it too much, and I'm glad I did that. You can kind of see it happening. But anyway, so PFE, and maybe you guys don't want to hear me keep talking, but two things on this. One, I posted on X about why buying boring names with options can net, especially if you can time the breakout, can net you some pretty incredible returns. And PFE has not moved. I mean, let's see. The range over the past, it's actually 27% range, but the range over the past couple weeks is about 12%. Notice right here is kind of this breakout level. And so at 2650, you can see we kind of had this fake breakout here, right, with some decent volume. And then we retrace, consolidate, another fake breakout here, consolidate, another fake breakout. So you wonder, is this the time that's different? And my bet is that it is. All right, so let's see. I mean, I'm not seeing anything maybe, market tide, but I don't know if this is, I'm not going to be impatient and sell and, get nervous. But what's working for the trade is our level is holding. Okay. That is what's working for the trade. What's not working for the trade is I'm not seeing it in premiums yet. I don't see it yet. And the part that makes me a little nervous, right, which I called out before we entered the trade, is kind of this magnet down here. So right now it's working, right? Like there's no reason to hate the trade. Actually, there's only reasons to like the trade. Our level that we bought at is holding. It's right at the 8 EMA. 8 EMA is kind of my bull versus bear indicator for SPX day trading. So we're holding the 8 EMA and the perfect level. Wow, Pony is ripping. Okay, so this is interesting. Like this is pretty good, right? Pony held support here and then bounced off. Obviously I got stopped out here too, if you guys recall. And then it kept going lower, and then now it's finding its footing. So this kind of like formation here is quite bullish. Like this is basically a shakeout, and it's going to break out to all-time highs. I'm not going to buy it because I every time I buy this name, I just don't have enough conviction to hold it long enough. So I kind of know myself, and I know that for whatever mental reason, I'm just not going to be able to hold it on any weakness. Whereas, like SMR, because I already have profits, I'll hold on weakness. Let's see. Let's kind of go through my port while we wait for SPX. What's funny is when I showed you guys this at the open, this was at 31K, and now we're back to 22K. But anyway, what I would hold with conviction is EOS. I mean, I held this from 300 down to 190%. This is actually, I don't know how many of you guys have been in my Discord for a while. EOS is one of the first ones I called on X with my, I only started my account in April, of bottom buy. And you can look at the chart, and it's a bottom, right? Like bought the bottom here. I added a little bit more on the way, right? You add to your winners, but this was a bottom buy. Anyway, oh, wow. Okay, hold on. SPX is moving, right? Let's reshift our focus. So we're going to take profit I shouldn't say we. This is my trade, and you guys are just here. You do what you want. This is not investment advice. Whatever. I'm gonna scale out some at 69.10. I'll scale out a half at 69.10. Um, in theory, I'm up a decent percent already. So it's like, hey, see profit, take profit. But I have a lot of conviction in my levels, and I'm okay with this going to break even or less than break even, right? Um, but this is kind of like the perfect situation. Like this can see 69.50. SPX can see 69.50. So if we see 69.50, these contracts will obviously go pretty parabolic. But that might be a fake. We're not getting any premium bump, but we are in tide. So yeah, whatever. Let's gotta stay patient, wait for the trade to play out. Just watch the tape. Don't really need to do anything. You can force yourself into some blunders, and I'm choosing not to do that. Right? Okay, getting close. Probably can fill around 9. Right? So you take most off, right? Half off at the first take profit level, and then you can kind of scale out along the way. That way, if it reverses and you take the rest at break even, it's still a 25, no, still a 50% trade if you get 100%. But anyway, you get my point. Like scale out at least half at the first take profit level, depending on the scenario. I'll reiterate, if this continues the way it shapes up, this is exactly to my morning plan, right? I say that not to say, look how good I am, but more so like it's what I anticipated. Um, it can set up for a pretty big bullish move to the upside. If we fail here, then, look out below. Okay, so we're starting to see it in calls here, right? Even though we're getting a little minor dip on SPX, we're seeing this is what you want to see, right? So we're seeing what we need to see. Sorry, hold on one second. Okay, so my son just woke up, so he might. So I'm not mad at this. I'm not upset I didn't take profit because again, I'm looking for my level to hit, not like this is you often see this where it's like, breakthrough and then retrace and you kind of like stop all the people who just longed out. So sorry, my son is distracting me a little bit. Let's see. Basically, all I want to happen is for us to hold the 8 EMA. As long as we can hold the 8 EMA and well, I guess 94, I still feel good about this trade. There's nothing that changed. Nothing that changed. Because, well, remember, forget this candle here. Forget it here, right? If we had just based here, my trade would have still been intact. So just because it went up and I had paper gains that vanished doesn't mean anything about this trade has changed. The only thing you could argue is there's sellers up here and buyers might not want to push it up again. But yeah, nothing's changed. So stay the course. No issue here. So I'm willing to take, right, like a I mean, on all trades, I'm willing to take a 50% loss. Yeah, good. I want to see GME. There we go. Look at GME rip. Our lotto. Oh my god. Okay, I'm gonna take some profit on the lottos. I'm gonna take off half. At let's see. GME. I'm gonna take off half at least pretty soon on these GME calls. I mean, pretty insane. You guys might hear my son in a little bit. Sorry. I like to be in the living room and he's just coming down. So you have to ignore him for a little bit. I'll move if it gets too noisy once he comes down. But I really want to just get this trade. I want to secure some profits. All right, I'm taking off half of the GME lottos. I mean, super lottos at 54 from, what's my cost basis? From 11. That's 400%. Okay, SPX. I'm gonna take some profit here at 8. I'm taking profit here at 8. Half. Take off half at 8. All right, so you see we're going to see 68.10. You know what's funny? Unfortunate. Oh, we got 12 people in here now. It's unfortunate. There was 20 people in here, and people either didn't take the trade or missed the trade, or I don't know. Also, like, I don't know. Maybe it's, I don't know why. Because it's like I enter all my information into the void. You know, we've been posting some insane bangers, and I like look right. Spy calls plus 81%. No love, and so I'm like, you know, did people take it? Are people happy with the room? I think one of the hardest things with running the Discord, not hardest things, but I'm just like I forget you guys pay to be here. So if you're not happy, you won't pay. But at the same time, I'm like, I guess I constantly seek validation. So when the people who are the ones who always add reactions, I appreciate you. If you take trades and you know, we secure some nice profit, reactions are always helpful for me to know, you know, you guys are riding it with me. All right, so look, who knows if this fails? We took out half of our profit. At minimum, you should have learned something about kind of the perfect strategy. There was no heartache at all with that buy. There's none. I mean, I kind of like, obviously it's like until it goes up, you're like, what's going to happen? But that was textbook, I would say. You know, identified my risk. Well, one, I had my pre-market plan. Two, I was patient. I mean, I was maybe like, you know, I went like a few pennies above, but I was patient for my level to hit. I knew my risk, right? I knew my risk. We talked about stop loss. And then I also didn't get, remember we were talking about that candle that kind of wicked up and wicked down? I didn't get nervous about that, right? Like I didn't worry about that. Steve, you are the the best, by the way. Like, when I think about people who show my posts, like, you're the best. Thank you. I appreciate you doing that. It means more than you think. Because again, I seek, it's not validation, but like I just want to make sure you guys are happy with the room. I like try and beg you guys for reviews. I want reactions. But look, honestly, at the end of the day, I need to remind myself you guys are paying to be here. So if you weren't happy, you would stop paying. So we all do. I'm gonna butcher your name. I don't tell you guys my real name, but I have a hard name too. Manu Valap. Yeah, I mean, look, sometimes, and people who are in the Discord, I'm not sure if you're in the Discord or not, but patience is not always guaranteed. Just because I was very patient here, I saw that like I knew exactly what I wanted, and I didn't feel like eager to make my. I was just focused on like playing the video game of trading. And so you guys, if you watch me the whole time, I was very patient, like pretty confident. I could see everything clearly. The problem is not every day I can see everything as clearly as I saw it today. And so that's when you either size down or don't trade at all. I'll admit I still trade on those days. I try and size down on those days where it's not as clear. But you just happen to catch me at a time where the trade plan that I wrote this morning was literally exactly how SPX played out in the morning. So it was easier to be patient now. But I don't want to discourage you from the patience part. Yes, I agree. That's absolutely necessary. And the other thing that can help you too is when you're in a position, just size down. People oversize a lot. And then Steve, would you ask, so in terms of comments, where do you decide to take profits on? Sorry, what's that? Can you remind me what that's in reference to? And I mean, even before you answer that, it's the same thing, right? Like for PFE, if you're in options or in comments, your first take profit here is 28.29. Now, I built this supply demand indicator because not everybody knows how to chart. So it helps you get closer to kind of my levels. Let's break this down on, oh, it's on the weekly, that's why. And then let's add all the, oh. So the range isn't going super high, but you can see where, like, you know, if you're not expecting a big breakout, you can see, and let me break this out a little more. I'll be a little noisier, but let's see. Yeah, okay, so the reason why it's not coming up on here is because we've traded lower and in this range for so long. As we come up, these levels should adjust. Okay, hold on, sorry, SPX is calling me. But you could see, you know, like if you're not good at charting support and demand, you could see this, these big nodes here, like the stars are really important, the crown. This crown node is lining up pretty much exactly with my level, right? So you can kind of use this indicator as a way to bridge the gap until you learn how to chart supply and demand. But anyway, I rambled. Steve, to answer your question, it's just where are the levels at? Okay, this is turning out to be a really good trade, very comfortable trade. I'm going to scale out another 20% here at, let me see what I get filled at. Not filled yet. 14 is a good level at 950. All right, I scaled out another 20% at 950. All right, so now I can just sit in runners, right? Now I can just sit in runners and chill. I mean, 30% isn't quite runners, but it's close enough. All right, how many people do we got on here? Cool, awesome, Steve. All right, we got 10 people on here. Okay, since you guys are on here, anybody who's not in the Discord and still on stream, please let me know that you're here. And if you are that person or those people and you don't say anything, it's usually means I don't need to be on YouTube anymore. I can just go stream on Discord. So if that is you, speak up. Awesome. Sai, all right, Sai, are you in the Discord? Okay, my son's coming downstairs, so I might need a reposition soon. Okay. You are? Okay, cool. Sorry, I don't know your username in Discord. Okay, I'm gonna end the stream just because it's hi. Okay. I'm gonna end the stream. Really, really good stream. I hope that was pretty educational for you guys. And this is motivating me to do a little bit. Thanks, man. Anyway, yeah, I'll do more streams going forward. How old's your son, Steve? Mine's 2.5. For sure, guys. Okay, cool. All right, we'll do more streams next week. Thanks all.